Hey everybody, and welcome back to my channel. As you can see from the title down below, this is going to be one of the first videos in the series I want to start on my channel about my spiritual journey. I have yet to make an introduction video, but I wanted to go over one of the tools that I am using for my spiritual journey. And as you can see, tarot cards are something that I'm using. Now, I kind of just wanted to show you the collection that I have started, some of the things I've learned being a newbie trying to study the tarot, just give some tips and tricks for some people who may just be starting out and kind of give a story of why I have the cards that I do. So to give a little bit of a backstory, I first learned about tarot when I was probably about 12 years old. I had a friend whose mother was Wiccan, and she used tarot cards all the time, and it was always just really fascinating to me. I grew up in a Christian household, and so I didn't really know anything about the tarot, and the fascination stuck with me until adulthood. And I was always scared because of being a Christian that by wanting to learn or buy tarot, I was somehow evil. I would be going to hell. And so I never really found the courage to buy a deck or study until I turned about 21. And this was the first deck that I purchased. This is the Mystic Dreamers Tarot. This is the book that came in the box. I no longer have the box anymore. But the book itself has great full page descriptions. It gives the picture of the card, gives you a whole rundown of the meaning. It also gives you the reversed meaning, and it also gives you the opportunity to use your intuition and put your own thoughts and feelings into the card meanings. And I was really happy because the book itself had places to leave notes. It had spreads that you could learn, many spreads. It wasn't just a couple, and it gave you a backstory on tarot and what it's used for. And this made me less scared of tarot because in this book it talks about how it's a tool. People use it for many different things. It's not just about fortune telling, as you know, you're kind of brought up to believe. And so I was really excited when I bought this, but I never planned on using it. Now this, I'm not even sure where I got this bag from, but I don't have the box anymore, so I just have these cards in the bag. And this is what the back of the Mystic Tarot looks like. And I bought this strictly for the artwork. That is why I bought it. I was never going to learn to read the tarot. I just wanted to be able to pick it up and look at the images and enjoy them. And so they sat in this bag for years and years. I think I pulled them out once to read with a friend, and I had to grab the book and I had to read the meanings through there because I had no idea what I was doing. But I just really was drawn to these cards and I wanted them, even though I wasn't sure I was ever gonna be brave enough to actually learn how to read them. So about a year ago, maybe just last year, is when I really started becoming really interested in learning the tarot. And trying to use this deck was difficult because I was watching a lot of videos on YouTube and they were talking about how, you know, you needed to learn the basics and you really shouldn't use a deck that has so much imagery that's different from the regular Rider-Waite deck. And I was not really attracted to the Rider-Waite deck. I just didn't like the imagery or the art, and I was like, if I don't like what I'm looking at, there's no way I'm ever going to want to study the tarot or learn how to read it. And I finally gave in just this last year and decided, you know what, I'm not studying these ones either. I'm having a tough time. As much as I love the deck, I'm not able to remember what the card meanings mean, and I'm having a hard time using my intuition. And so I finally gave in and bought the Smithway Tarot deck, and this is the Centennial Edition. And the reason I bought this one was because it's the only Smithway deck that I was attracted to. The colors are more muted in this deck. than the original, and the backings are absolutely gorgeous. So there's a lot of extra paintings in here, but this is, oh, there's another extra painting. All right, so these are the backs of these ones. They kind of have like an aged look. It has the signature of the artist on the back. I love kind of like the, it's more of a mint green color, but this lighting is kind of yellow. But this is the normal Rider-Waite deck, but this is Smithway that everyone knows. These are the images that you see, you know, on TV. These are the ones that most people, when they look at that, they're like, oh, it's a tarot card. And I really, really enjoy how muted these are. It's a lot easier for me to read and feel interested in reading. And so I finally picked this up, and I'm glad I did, because the imagery is pretty self-explanatory. You know, for example, being a newbie, you know, this is the magician, and you see that he has all of the minor arcana around him. So it's about having all of the things in front of you to succeed, but the power is in your hands, is kind of how I take the meaning without keywords. You have, so as much as I was trying to talk myself out of ever purchasing the Rider-Waite, I finally gave in, and I am glad I did. There are so many versions of this deck now. They have ones that are all black. They have ones that are gilded in gold. They have ones that are really, really bright. Some of it, they have made it more cartoony, if your art style is more geared toward that type of style. And so I definitely recommend, if you're going to be starting tarot, as much as you may not connect to these cards, I do think it is important to have one copy in your collection, because the imagery is pretty self-explanatory, and it is a lot easier to read than a card that has a lot of imagery, like the Mystic Dreamers Tarot did for me. And I'm sitting on my bed, so I don't know if the cards will stay. So these were the first two decks that I really started to study. And then, of course, watching all the YouTube videos that I do, I started watching people do hauls on tarot cards and their favorites and the ones they liked the most. And that's where I purchased the Arcanum Tarot. And I bought this strictly for the artwork. I really love the realism in this artwork. And I was like, ooh, if I have these, I'll definitely, you know, pick up my tarot cards and, you know, study them nightly, which is sort of true. But again, it comes in this really nice box. I really like the box that this came in. That's what the back of the cards look like. And again, this was just one that I thought the art was beautiful, and I just really wanted to pick up. And I'm not going to grab all the cards out of the box here, but so these are really just beautiful, beautiful pictures. And of course, these are based on the Rider-Waite system. There's the Hanged Man. And I just really love the imagery in these cards. It really draws me in. It's similar to the Rider-Waite, so I feel like I will have an easier time reading these over my Mystic Dreamers Tarot. And I love that there's no borders. It's a full picture. I love the color scheme on the deck. And again, it's imagery that is similar to the Rider-Waite, but it's just more fun and appealing for me personally. So that was why I bought this deck, because I figured I'd be more likely to pick up and study if I had something that I really, really loved to look at and to play with. And then moving down the line, so we then come to the same company makes the Arcanum as the Tarot de l'Inuit, I believe is how you pronounce this. And again, it came down to, I really kind of wanted like a darker deck, and the imagery on this is the same, but it's just darker. It's really beautiful. And so I was like, okay, well, I need that too. And then I just got bit by the bug, and I was just like, I need more tarot. So one of the other tarot decks that I really fell in love with was this one from Nicoletta So Kelly. I don't know how to pronounce that. And it's these cards with these little beautiful kind of weird dolls, kind of fairy tale. And I probably will eventually do an unboxing and review of all of these tarot decks separately, but I just wanted to kind of show what I have for my tools and kind of the story behind how I even got the collection. And so I just bought this strictly because I was like, I need this in my collection. I'm not sure if I will use this to study. I'm sure this is a deck that I will use once I have learned tarot, but I just thought it was really cool, different deck to have in the collection. And then the last one is actually, I believe, an oracle, and I was watching a YouTuber talk about this, and I just thought this was a really pretty deck, and I thought for an oracle this would be probably a good one to start with. And it comes with a little slide box. It doesn't slide off very easily. As you can see, I'm shaking the dickens out of it. And it also does come with a book. It's a pretty good sized book too, so that'll be interesting to read. I haven't read it yet. I just received this like last week, but here the very first card we have is Mary Magdalene. I am the bridge between heaven and earth. I am fully human and fully divine. Now, I have no idea how you would interpret that into a reading, whether you were doing a tarot reading or just an oracle reading, but I thought the women and the cards were really beautiful, and I figured I am interested in kind of all aspects of this, and so that's why I bought the oracle deck. Now, also, as you can see here, I bought this little tarot reading journal on Amazon. I believe it was just a few dollars. You can see my fingerprints all over it. It kind of has like this matte velvety feel, and it just has pages that you can fill in the date, time, the deck you're using, which I think is really cool, the reader, querent, the mood of the reader and the querent, the question asked, the cards pulled, your interpretation, and then you can write notes on the bottom. And I don't necessarily want to show the readings that I have written down, but like, for example, with the notes, a card jumped out of the deck. I thought that was important. The star was also my inspiration pull today. I can probably show this one. So this was using the Tarot de la Nuit, and the question of the day was, will I continue to be successful with Pioneer? Pioneer is the name of the job that I have. And so those were the cards I drew. This is what I took from the reading, and then I had mentioned that the star had popped up in 2 of my readings today because it also popped up in my inspiration reading today as well. So that's a tool I'm using. It's kind of cool to look back on readings I've done, see how accurate I'm being, if I'm getting better, if I'm understanding more. And so it's just a cool thing to just kind of track what I'm doing. And so, it's really, really cheap, and I definitely recommend it for people who are new, just starting out. Also, I have this old journal that I used to use as a journal. Then when I started writing my book, I had used it to write my book, and then I stopped using it for that, and now I have this notebook full of unused paper, and I thought this would be a good place to write down my notes about tarot. Obviously, you could just use like a $2 spiral notebook from Walmart, but this is where I'm going to be keeping notes on my interpretations of the cards. I kind of want to look into the astrology part of tarot and the symbolism, and so this will be where I keep the notes. I wouldn't necessarily call it a book of shadows necessarily, but I guess that's basically what it would be. And so those are my tarot tools that I will be using on this spiritual journey. If you would like me to do a video individually for each of the decks, just to kind of give a run through and my thoughts on using them, I certainly will. I kind of want to do a more in-depth video just on how I started with tarot and what I've learned with the books and the cards and just watching things on YouTube. So if you want to see individual videos, go ahead and hit that like button. Subscribe if you'd like to join me on this journey. and I'll catch you guys in my next video. Bye.